Well, clearly using a graph isn't gonna work anymore, so instead I'm just gonna guilt trip you into this. Look at the stats. Look at that. You are unsubscribed. I know that for a fact. So do that right now. Please and thank you. Goodbye. As the years have gone by, the Japanese industry has definitely become more popular in the West. I feel like more people are showing interest now in things not related to anime more than ever before. Although maybe that just has to do with the fact that I've been on the internet more than ever before. Maybe I'm just chronically online. Maybe it's a me issue. As the saying goes, anything that is in Japan is bound to get more popular and get a lot more recognition because it's in Japan, and you could argue that it's the case with the Japanese showbiz, so much so that goated author Aka Akasaka decided to start writing an entirely different manga where he was still drawing and writing Kaguya-sama, a manga that will go all in on the Japanese industry and only involve a slight bit of teen pregnancy. Bitch, huh? Alright, so, be me, you watch the Gigok video and be like, alright, I'm gonna watch it, eventually. Then you hear a friend recommend it to you, and you're like, alright, now I'm gonna watch it, at some point. And you finally decide to watch it, and then you're reading the first 10 episodes, chapters, you know what I mean, and this happens. By the way, heavy spoilers, since what happens here is going to be a bunch of big revelations that the anime trailers do not tell you about. There's a doctor who's a very big fan of idols because one of his patients was super into Hoshino, which, by the way, the patient is dead. Huh? After the sad backstory, we get a pregnant teen. Excuse me! And it turns out to be the idol he was just watching, who is pregnant with twins. Okay, you know what? That is pretty plausible for me to believe, considering the information that I have just been informed of just now. Oh, and the doctor got killed by a crazy fan. What the fuck? And he is reincarnated as the baby of the idol. Hey, Seasauce, Pseudo here. This is still the first fucking episode. So after receiving the nastiest mindfucking chapter 1, the series then relaxes for at least a couple of chapters and introduces the main cast that you'll be following for basically the entire series. But don't think that that was the last bizarre occurrence to happen in this series, because just 9 chapters after all this happens, we get chapter 10, in which Hoshino, the person who we believe is basically going to be the main character of the series, at least one of the mainstays, gets fucking murdered. Hey, Seasauce, what the fuck? In the first 9 chapters, the series manages to fucking bamboozle the entire audience in like 7 different ways and then basically changes what you thought was going to be the plot of the entire series. The series first lures you in with the premise of exploring the many facets of Japanese showbiz, actually shows you that, but then bitch slaps you and introduces basically a murder mystery in which the main duo basically go on a quest to climb up the ladder of the entertainment industry to catch and get revenge on the person that killed their mom? Huh? Even though this is basically the main thing that the characters are looking for, it is, at least up to when this video was made, an element of the story that is mainly in the background that appears sporadically. Although looking at the way the manga is going so far, it may look as though that statement would change very rapidly. The series is still all about the entertainment industry in Japan, and they don't hold back a lot. It's a full YouTube 5-hour iceberg deep dive into many elements from this world. One of the main focal points is the idol industry, in case it wasn't obvious considering who the poster child of this acid trip is. And just the first couple of chapters, it gives you a glimpse of the insanely arduous, competitive, and in some cases wild world of idols. It talks about how for the most part, idols are just a thing only achievable by like high school students, how the industry has many bands that stay underground, how it's a very volatile job when it comes to the salary, as it mostly is dependent on merch that is very hard to sell when not many people come to the shows. And it also touches on the less than mentally sane fans that have insane parasocial relationships with these idols. Like, dog, she don't know who you are! Throughout the many different parts of the series, many different aspects of showbiz are explored thoroughly. There's an arc that tackles a reality TV show, a theater adaptation of a popular manga, and in the most recent arc of the manga, a documentary on a certain person. In all these arcs, there's many chapters which serve as an explanation to what the role of a certain person or certain thing are and what they achieve, and how many of these jobs can overlap with each other. The anime is also very in touch with like the modern times, with many different internet concepts being tackled here. Many times the characters will talk about YouTube, TikTok, live streaming, and one of the conflicts to happen in the manga involves adult cosplayers. When I say all parts of the industry are touched here, I mean all parts of the industry are touched upon here. As someone who mainly just sticks to YouTube and TV shows, it is very surreal just being reminded of and shown so many different avenues from which people derive entertainment from. It's a bunch of different subcultures, I guess you could call them, and the best part is that they're all handled appropriately and don't feel like an out-of-touch person using Twitter as a reference to be hip with the kids. Hell, in many points in the manga, the main group try to use YouTube and collabs to promote themselves and make themselves known to the world. In one of the later arcs, in order to save one of his friends from controversy that could potentially ruin their career, Aqua decides to outperform that controversy by instead revealing another truth that would shake up the industry as a whole, which is totally how this would happen in real life. I am actually bullshitting on this one, I have no idea if this is actually how it works. If I did have to say something less than favorable to the manga, it will be that the manga does feel like it can take its sweet time in moving along. While it is very cool to see how the world of entertainment works behind the scenes, sometimes I would read a chapter and think to myself, well, that was cool, but I kinda hope for more, and then have to wait an entire week for the next chapter. And coming from the author of Kaguya-sama, I remember these build-up chapters to be surprisingly light on the comedy, or at least have less wacky comedy than Kaguya-sama does. While I do feel like the pacing can sometimes be slow, it certainly makes up for it because what it builds up is paid off and more. I think that my favorite part of the series will still be the arc in which Aqua is doing a reality TV series, which of course features a more in-depth look at what the shows are like, which I love, but that's not really what I care for. Without spoiling too much, one of the actors gets caught in a controversy that essentially makes her end up Twitter cancelled.
They can't keep getting away with this!
It then goes on to show many of the different ways in which people can try to damage control, the do's and don'ts of the situation, and more than that, it shows what a person will go through when they are being cancelled. It showcases a character falling into a downward spiral in which she just suffers more, and the more she tries to salvage the situation, the worse it gets, the more intense the hate will get, in which then feeds more into the self-deprecating cycle that gets so bad she even tries to—
I don't think I can make a joke without offending the entire English-speaking population, so instead I'll just stop.
The comedy here is still absolute gold, both in clever writing and in facial expressions and slapstick humor. I feel like the series' comedic heights can reach Kaguya levels. Obviously, it's just that the story being told here definitely feels like it can leave less room to be funny than Kaguya does. The characters are some of the highlights of the series because, again, this is Saka Akasaka! Ruby and Aqua work extremely well as the main characters, with them having some insane development as the series goes on, and all I'm saying is that the anime-only watchers ain't ready for the heat! Akane, Kana, and many others of the supporting cast feel like real people and yet manage to somehow keep the peak comedy inside of them. One of the main things about the character design in Oshi no Ko is that many of them have a star in their eye, meant to represent basically the determination and will of a character in relation to a goal. Visually, this is a clever way of showing how the characters are going all in on their goals. It's the perfect way to lead to hype moments because when it appears, you just know that Aka is turning on the stove and he is about to cook something good. The entire manga has been doing such a good job in showing the entertainment industry while also building up the murder mystery slash thriller slash I don't know what it's called, and combining that with endearing characters and humor, we get a future all-star show that I believe has the potential to become one of the most popular modern anime. The manga is still ongoing at the time of writing this video, but I am confident in saying that the show will only get more interesting from here on, so look into watching this show if you like Kaguya's humor, or just in general really. Oh, and I couldn't find the right moment to put this joke in, so...
Well, that's all the time that I've had for today. I'm just a random stranger you met on the internet. That is some lightning. But hey, just call me Suda.